Genesis chapter 17. Abram becomes Abraham. When Abram was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to him and said, I am God Almighty. Walk in my presence and be without blame. I will make a covenant between myself and you, and I will multiply your race. Abram fell face down, and God said to him, This is my covenant with you. You will be the father of a multitude of nations. No longer will you be called Abram, but Abraham, because I have made you the father of a multitude of nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful. Nations shall spring from you. Kings shall be among your descendants. And I will establish a covenant, an everlasting covenant between myself and you and your descendants after you, to be your God and the God of your descendants after you for generations to come. I will give to you and your descendants after you the land you are living in as an alien, all the land of Canaan as an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. God said to Abraham, For your part, you shall keep my covenant, you and your descendants after you, generation after generation. This is my covenant with you, and you will keep between me, you and your descendants after you. Every male among you shall be circumcised. You shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin. That will be the sign of the covenant between me and you. When he is 8 days old, every male among you will be circumcised, generation after generation, including the slaves born in your household or bought from a foreigner as slaves. Whether born in your household or bought as slaves, they must be circumcised. So my covenant will be written in your flesh as an everlasting covenant. An uncircumcised male who has not been circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin will be cut off from his people for having broken my covenant. God said to Abraham, As for Sarai your wife, no longer are you to call her Sarai, but Sarah. I will bless her, and I will give you a son by her. I will bless her, and she shall become the mother of nations. Kings of peoples shall come from her. Then Abraham fell face down, and he laughed and said to himself, Will a son be born to a man 100 years old? And can Sarah, who is 90 years old, have a child? And Abraham said to God, If only Ishmael could live in your presence. But God said, Not at all. It is Sarah your wife who will give birth to a son, and you will name him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him, an everlasting covenant with his descendants after him. As for Ishmael, I have heard you. I will bless him and make him fruitful, and I will multiply his race. He shall be the father of 12 princes, and I will make of him a great nation. But my covenant I will establish with Isaac, the child Sarah will have this time next year. When he had finished speaking with Abraham, God went out from him. Abraham then took Ishmael his son, as well as all those born in his house, and all those he had bought as slaves, all the males in the household of Abraham, and circumcised their foreskins that same day as God had ordered him. Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised, and his son Ishmael was 13. Abraham and his son Ishmael were both circumcised that same day, and every male in his household, whether born in his household or bought with money from a foreigner, was circumcised with him. Genesis chapter 18. The Lord visits Abraham. The Lord appeared to Abraham near the oak of Mamre as he was sitting at the entrance to his tent in the heat of the day. He looked up and saw 3 men standing by. When he saw them, he ran from the entrance of the tent to meet them. He bowed to the ground and said, Sirs, if I have found favor in your sight, do not pass by your servant by. Let a little water be brought. Wash your feet and then rest under the trees. I shall fetch some bread so that you can be refreshed and continue on your way, since you have come to your servant. They then said, Do as you say. Abraham hurried into the tent to Sarah and said to her, "Quick, take 3 seahs of fine flour and knead it and make some bread." Abraham then ran to the herd, took a fine tender calf, gave it to the servant who hurried to prepare it. He took butter and milk, and together with the calf he had prepared, laid it all before them. And while he remained standing in front of them under the tree, they ate. Then they asked, "Where is Sarah, your wife?" Abraham answered, "She is in the tent." And the Lord said, "At the same time next year I will surely return to you, and Sarah by then will have a son." Now Sarah was behind him, listening at the entrance to the tent. Abraham and Sarah were old, well on in years, and Sarah no longer had her monthly periods. Sarah laughed to herself, saying, "Now that I am old and my husband is an old man, am I to have displeasure?" The Lord said to Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh, saying, 'Am I really going to have a child now that I am old?' Is there anything that is impossible for God? At the same time next year I will return, and Sarah by then will have a son." Sarah denied, saying, "I did not laugh," for she was afraid. But he said, "Oh yes, you did laugh." Abraham pleads for Sodom. The men went away from there and cast a glance down at Sodom. Abraham walked with them to set them on their way. And the Lord said, "Can I conceal from Abraham what I am about to do?" Abraham, in fact, is going to become a great and powerful nation, and through him all the nations of the earth will be blessed. For I have chosen him to command his sons and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord may bring about for Abraham what he has promised him. Then the Lord said, "How great is the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah, and how grievous is their sin! I am going down to see if they have done all that they are charged with in the outcry that has reached me. If it is not so, I will know." The men with him turned away and went towards Sodom, but the Lord remained standing before Abraham. Abraham went forward and said, "Will you really let the good perish with the wicked? Perhaps there are 50 good people in the town. Are you really going to let them perish? Would you not spare the place for the sake of these 50 good people? It would not be at all like you to do such a thing, and you cannot let the good perish with the wicked, nor treat the good and the wicked alike. Far be it from you, will not the judge of all the earth be just?" The Lord said, "If I find 50 good people in Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake." Abraham spoke up again, "I know that I am very bold to speak like this to my Lord. I who am only dust and ashes. But perhaps the number of the good people is 5 less than 50. Will you destroy the town because of 5? The Lord replied, "I will not destroy the town if I find 45 good people there." Again Abraham said to him, "Perhaps there will be only 40. He answered, "For the sake of 40 I will not do it." Abraham went on saying, "May my Lord not be angry, but let me speak. Maybe only 30 good people will be found in the town." The Lord answered, "I will not destroy it if I find 30 there." Abraham said, "Now that I have been so bold as to speak to my Lord, what if only 20 can be found?" He said, "For the sake of 20 I will not destroy the place." But Abraham insisted, "May my Lord not be angry, but let me speak just once more. What if only 10 can be found?" And the Lord answered, "For the sake of 10 good people I will not destroy it." When the Lord had finished speaking with Abraham, he left, and Abraham went back home. Psalm 9. God, the refuge of the oppressed. With all my heart I will thank the Lord. I proclaim all your marvelous deeds. I rejoice and exult in your name. I sing praise to your name, O Most High. As my enemies fell back in retreat, they stumbled before you and perished. You have upheld my right and my cause. You have passed sentence from your throne, O just judge. You have rebuked the nations and destroyed the wicked. You have blotted out their names forever. Your enemies lie ruined forever, their cities trampled, their memory wiped out. But the Lord shall reign forever, having set up his throne for judgment. He will judge the nations with justice and govern the peoples in righteousness. The Lord is a rampart for the oppressed, a refuge in times of distress. Those who cherish your name, O Lord, can rely on you, for you have never forsaken those who look to you. Sing praises to the Lord enthroned in Zion, proclaim his deeds among the nations. For he who avenges blood remembers and has not forgotten the cry of the afflicted. Have mercy on me, O Lord, see how my foes have afflicted me. O lift me up from the gates of death, that I may declare your praises, that in the gates of the daughter of Zion I may rejoice in your salvation. The nations have sunk into the pit they have dug, their own feet ensnared by the trap they laid. The Lord has made himself manifest in the execution of his judgment. The wicked have been trapped by the work of their own hands. The wicked will depart to the underworld, all the nations that turn away from God. For the needy will not always be forgotten, nor the hope of the poor perish forever. Rise, O Lord, let not human strength triumph. Let the nations stand on trial before you. Strike them with terror, O Lord. Let the nations realize they are only human. Amen. Matthew chapter 7, Judging Others. Do not judge, and you will not be judged. In the same way you judge others, you will be judged. And the measure you use for others will be used for you. Why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye and not see the plank in your own? How can you say to your brother, come, let me take out the speck from your eye, as long as that plank is in your own? Hypocrite, take first the plank out of your own eye, then you will see clear enough to take the speck out of your brother's eye. Pearls before swine. Do not give what is holy to dogs, or throw your pearls to pigs. They will only trample on them and then turn to attack you. Effective prayer. Ask and you will receive. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened. For everyone who asks receives. Whoever seeks finds. And the door will be opened to anyone who knocks. Would any one of you give a stone to your son when he asks for bread, or give him a snake when he asks for a fish? Bad as you are, you know how to give good things to your children. How much more then will your Father in heaven give good things to those who ask him? So treat others the way you would like them to treat you. There you have the law and the prophets. The narrow gate. Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many go that way. How narrow is the gate and difficult the road that leads to life. Few there are who find it. The false prophets. Beware of false prophets. They come to you in disguised as sheep, but inside they are wild wolves. You will recognize them by their fruits. Do you ever pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? A tree known by its fruits. A good tree always produces good fruit. A bad tree produces bad fruit. A good tree cannot produce bad fruit, nor a bad tree good fruit. Any tree that does not bear good fruit is cut down and thrown in the fire, so you will know them by their fruit. The true disciples. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me on that day, Lord, Lord, did we not speak in your name? Did we not cast out devils and perform many miracles in your name? Then I will tell them openly, I have never known you. Get away from me, you workers of evil. Wise and foolish builders. So then anyone who hears these words of mine and acts accordingly is like a man who built his house on rock. The rain poured, the rivers flooded, and the wind blew against that house, but it did not collapse because it was built on rock. But anyone who hears these words of mine and does not act accordingly is like a fool who built his house on sand. The rain poured, the rivers flooded, and the wind blew against the house, and down it went with a mighty crash. When Jesus had finished this discourse, the crowds were amazed at his teaching, because he taught with authority unlike the teachers of the law.